Hi lovelies, welcome back. This week I want to share a metaphor that I found extremely helpful. And it's because this past November 2020 has just been a rough month for me. And I know I'm not alone because when I talk to other people, I realize that it's kind of a rough month for everyone. We're kind of collectively going through a lot of exhaustion and fear and fatigue and just everything else that's kind of in the air, in the kind of energy that we're living in right now. I brought this up because I was just really struggling and I was needing some help. And the lovely Karen DiMarco, if you don't know Karen, she's amazing. She's a friend and mentor of mine, and I asked her, I was like, look, I've been feeling really shitty lately. Like, not just the type of shitty where I kind of can even identify that I'm in a thought storm. I just kind of felt empty, completely like nothing. Just like there was no joy in life, that there was no like purpose, that there was just like, it was just an awful feeling of like, nothing matters and what's the point. And if anyone has felt like that before, and I think like I always used to think, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a really rare thing. It's really not. I've talked to so many people who know what that feels like. And so if you felt like that before, or if your shitty time has looked different but still really fucking shitty lately, I hope this metaphor helps you, because what Karen reminded me of has been kind of like a godsend and really helpful. And that was this metaphor of basically, before I get into kind of the details of the metaphor, it's basically a metaphor to stop struggling against life. And it's really easy when we're feeling shitty, especially I think when we're feeling really shitty, to be like, I have to struggle against life. Like, I have to do something to come back to feeling good and feeling like myself again. That's definitely how I felt. I had this week where just I couldn't do anything. Everything was apathy. Everything was like darkness. Nothing mattered. And I struggled a lot with like, I shouldn't be feeling like this. Like, I have to get back to being myself, being somebody who is genuinely happy most of the time, being somebody who actually likes my life and wants to do things in my life and wants to talk to the people I love. And like, when I was going through this period of darkness, it was just like none of that mattered. And so of course I naturally struggled. Like, I can see now when I'm kind of out of it a bit more that I have so much compassion for the fact that it's so human nature when we're feeling like that. And we know that that's not us. We know that that's not our default true nature. We know that that's not the full story, the big picture, to want to get back to that state. It's completely normal and natural. But what it actually does, and I've talked about this in the past, is the resistance keeps us in that place. The resistance keeps us stuck in the fight of, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I don't want to be feeling like this. This isn't me. This isn't, how I want to be in my life, how I want to show up, how I want to experience life. And it's easy to get in that sense of struggle. So I brought this up to Karen, and Karen reminded me of this amazing metaphor about, it's called bouncing off the bottom. And essentially and I don't know if it's truthful or allegorical, but at this point I don't even care. Essentially, it's about these lifeguards who are training to get their lifeguard certification. And part of their challenge is that they have to hold a brick when they're in the water. And of course, basic physics, everyone kind of knows that if you're going to be in water and you're holding a brick or anything heavy, it's going to want to weigh you down. And so and I think they had to do it like 10 minutes of treading water holding this massive brick. And what was realized by these lifeguards is that if they were to try to kind of fight against how heavy this brick is, fight against the fact that it has this natural tendency to want to pull them down to the bottom, then they're going to waste their energy trying to fight the force of this brick and they're going to be in a position where they're either going to fail because they can't do it because there's too much forces against them, or they're going to just completely exhaust themselves and have nothing left at the end of the 10 minutes. And that's definitely what my life felt like. I was like, yeah, I feel like the place that I'm in is like holding a brick that is far too heavy for me to bear right now. And what was so interesting is that Karen told me that in the metaphor, they kind of caught wise to the fact that this was a really impossible challenge, that this is actually going to exhaust them. And they just started working with the heaviness of the brick instead of against it. So instead of, trying to tread water holding this really heavy brick, they took a deep breath and just let themselves sink to the bottom. And oh my God, when I realized that I was in resistance and in struggle and in fight to the heaviness in my life, and I could just let myself be taken down, it changed everything. Because suddenly it was like, oh, right, I don't have to actually always be at the top, gasping for air, struggling, trying so hard to get myself to a place that doesn't feel like something I can do in that moment, doesn't feel like a place I can reach in that moment. It was like, oh my God, if you just let go and let yourself be taken down by life, let yourself sink basically, then you're releasing all of that struggle. You're just letting go and letting the weight of the brick do what weight of bricks do, which is take you down. But the thing that I had forgotten when I was in this dark place, and the thing that I think many of us forget when we're up against really shitty moods and really dark times and a lot of struggle and challenge, is that we don't see that there's a bottom there. So part of why we're so reluctant to let go of the struggle is we're like, I'm just going to sink into abyss and never come back. And that was definitely what I thought, and that was definitely why I was holding on so tightly to my sense of like, I can't feel like this, and I need to get out of this, and I need to do something, and I need to, look for a fix, and I need to force myself into feeling better, and all of those things. But I forgot that there was a bottom, and that is the key part of this metaphor, is that yes, you're going to just exhale and let the weight take you down, but it's only going to take you down until you're at the bottom of the pool, and you can use that sense of grounding, that sense of having your feet on something solid to push you back up. And that kind of rhythm that these lifeguards discovered of letting yourself be taken down, not fighting the weight that you have to carry, but just letting yourself sink gracefully until you reach the bottom and bring yourself back up naturally. That was like, oh my God, why don't I just try that? And needless to say, it had been the turning point in my kind of 10 days of darkness and struggle, is that I got to a point where I was like, yeah, I have really nothing to lose by trying that out. And so after my conversation with Karen, it didn't seem like a good idea to do the things that I had been doing, which was forcing and struggling and resisting and fighting how I was feeling. And I just totally let myself go. I was like, yeah, if I don't want to do anything today, like if I don't even want to shower, if I want to eat chips and salsa for dinner right out of the box, if I don't want to check my phone, if I don't want to answer emails, if I don't want to do anything, then I'll just allow that, instead of being like, oh no, I have to fight, I have to struggle, I have to, be in resistance to what is. And just completely let myself go. And the beautiful thing is, there was a bottom, because there always is, because the bottom in this metaphor is our true nature. It's our natural resilience, it's our natural wisdom, it's our natural sense of what gets us through life. The same thing that's beating our heart and breathing our lungs and doing all the heavy lifting for us can help us with challenges too, and dark moods and shitty times and struggle. But I had forgotten that. So here I was, like, trying so hard to tread water holding this brick that wanted to weigh me down, instead of just letting myself fall, hit the bottom, and naturally come back up for air. And yeah, I just think in a time where so many of us are struggling with a lot of stuff, it's so valuable to see that we don't have to fight against nature. Like, we can allow nature to do the heavy lifting of getting us back to ourselves by just literally surrendering to the weight and the heaviness that we're feeling, and dropping the resistance, dropping the struggle, and coming back to this place where we just allow ourselves to sink and allow ourselves to just exhale and let go of it all, knowing that eventually our feet are going to touch bottom, knowing that eventually something solid and something actually more grounding is going to be felt under our feet. And we'll just naturally want to, without much struggle. I mean, if you've ever bounced off the bottom of a pool, it's not hard. You literally just, with any upward motion, you're kind of just launched upwards. And that's a way that we're going to be balanced. And of course, we're going to get to the top and we're going to feel the struggle again, and we're going to just let ourselves sink. But going with that rhythm of life and that kind of flow of nature is so much easier than the opposite, which is struggle, 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 fight. I have to do this. This is the right thing to do. I have responsibilities. I have, to be this person for other people in my life and for myself. I have to uphold this way of being or this image. I have to, meet this challenge head on. All of that is really fucking exhausting. And when we can learn to just take a deep breath and let ourselves sink, knowing that eventually we're going to feel bottom and eventually we're going to come back up for air, it has been changing my life to allow that rhythm to guide me in these challenging times. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and big shout out and thank you to Karen for reminding me of this, because it really has been kind of a savior lately. And if you're going through a hard time right now, I just want to let you know that it's normal and it's okay, and I get it, and I'm sending you so much love and such big virtual hugs. We're in lockdown here in BC, and yeah, it's been a struggle not being able to hug friends and not being able to do the activities that have been so kind of grounding and connecting in these really hard times. So whether or not you're in lockdown, or whether or not you're suffering from holiday stress or COVID stress or health stress or all of the above, I hope what I shared today helps. I hope that you just let yourself go with life instead of struggling and resisting and fighting to stay at the top, gasping for air. And I want you to know that, we're all struggling right now. We're all going through a hard time, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. So I'm sending you so much love. I will be back with you next week. Questions, comments, please leave them below. If you know somebody that this would help, a loved one or someone that you're like, oh my God, they need to hear this, please send it to them. Please share. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be back with you soon. Take care, my lovelies. Bye.